Hello, and thank you for joining the podcast Emergency Minute. Your host is an emergency medicine physician who brings over 20 years of experience in healthcare. Dr. Parente will take you through some of the trending topics and challenges faced in the ER and all of healthcare. Join in the fight against misinformation, and don't forget to follow on social media at Dr. J. Parente. Now, here's your host, Dr. John Parente.
Welcome back, everyone, to Emergency Minute, episode 29, Save Gen Z, with award-winning author, colonel, and physician, Dr. Josh McConkey. But before we get into that, a reminder that you can now check us out on YouTube if you prefer the video podcast, or you can join us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever else you get your normal audio podcasts as well. Now, lastly, if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, like, comment, share on social media. This is the key to reaching more people to help with some of the topics we discuss and their personal journey within this broken healthcare system. Now, today's guest is Dr. Colonel Josh McConkey, best-selling, award-winning author, esteemed emergency medicine physician with over 20 years of clinical experience. He's a former Duke University professor, board-certified emergency medicine physician, and he currently commands the 459th Aeromedical Staging Squadron in the U.S. Air Force Reserves, where he continues to exemplify leadership and service. He has an acclaimed book, Be the Weight Behind the Spear, which has earned multiple accolades, including the 2025 Telly Award and a Pulitzer Prize nomination. He resides in Apex, North Carolina with his wife, Elsa, where they raise their 3 children. They work together to inspire the next generation of American leaders. Without further ado, please welcome Dr. Joshua McConkey.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great catching up. And you got a lot going on right now, obviously. I was reading through the resume, doing some show prep here. Catch me up to speed. Like, where are you at? What are you working on? What's going on?
Yeah, been doing emergency medicine like you for over 2 decades now. And, try to make as big of an impact as you can there. But just during COVID, I think really got burned out, and we're just trying to make a difference another way. And with that generation that we really saw shut out of schools and churches and their communities, there's a huge mental health crisis in this country, which we both see and most people recognize. So I wrote a book, Be the Weight Behind the Spear. It's kind of my prescription to fix that problem, and started a nonprofit organization, the Weight Behind the Spear Foundation, to really promote community engagement. And we've been really involved in Western North Carolina, raising money after Hurricane Helene. And then I've got my military career and family. So I stay very busy, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't know when you sleep with that kind of a schedule. That's really impressive. And I couldn't thank you enough for joining us on the show today. I wanted to talk a little bit about your book, your award-winning book here, which we'll link in the podcast notes. Tell me a little bit about the book, the inspiration for it. How did this all come together?
So, it's my personal leadership ethos. Be the weight behind the spear. I have a military challenge coin, and on the bottom it's got the Latin inscription, gravitate hastum, gravity of the spear. So I've been very fortunate in my military career. I've got to work with a lot of special operations. So I was medical director for PJs, Combat Search and Rescue, and these individuals are amazing. So that's the real tip of the spear. So to understand what it means to be the weight behind it, you got to understand what that tip is. So these are the individuals jumping out of helicopters, taking down bin Laden. One of my team members actually was on the rescue in 2018 for those Thai children trapped in the caves, that soccer team in 2018. Wow. And you realize that these are just normal people, but there's just something different about them. So the confidence, the monster egos as well, of course, but the confidence that they have, it's the weight behind their spear. It's our best resource in this entire country. It's our people. So it's teachers, coaches, volunteers, families. Somebody was a mentor to them throughout their career. And that's what sets us apart. That's what makes us an amazing country. And so everyone can make that difference. Like, this is a team sport. Life is a team sport. Everybody needs to get involved, be the weight behind the spear in your community. And this is my prescription to address just the issues we've seen with mental health and in this younger generation that's struggling right now. So it was well received, got nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. I did not win, unfortunately, but hey, can't win them all.
Yeah, it's incredible to get nominated and just to have that type of recognition, to win the awards that you have won on this. It's amazing. I've always thought about writing a book, but I guess I've never really sort of just sat down and done it because probably with my ADHD, I have like 100 projects going at the same time. It seems like none of them complete.
Work. Yeah,
yeah, I've heard that. I think probably maybe when I retire, I'll write a book. I guess I have yet to figure out the best topic for my passion. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to you sending me a copy because I definitely want to take a look at that. I wanted to also talk about, your military experience here. I have to read this because there's so much to go off of with your resume. Wicked impressive. Your military and governmental involvement, 9-year veteran of the Army National Guard, chief of aviation medicine to the adjunct general and governor of Nebraska, currently as a U.S. Air Force Reserve, and then also working as a liaison with FEMA, coordinating defense support of civil authorities. I mean, I'd love to hear more about your work with the military and what this has taught you. I saw your bio said from combat zones to the ER to book tours, which I think is fantastic. Tell me a little bit more about your journey with the military.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I had an ROTC scholarship coming out of high school, and I was part of a rural health opportunities program. So I went to a really small school in Western Nebraska, Chadron State College, if you know who Danny Woodhead is and Don Beebe, some football players. Yeah,
sure.
Alumni of Chadron State College. Go Eagles. And they were too small. They didn't have an ROTC program. So I always wanted to be in the military. So when I got into medical school, I took a direct commission with the Army National Guard. And the recruiter tells you about all the fun trips to Central America and the medical missions in Guatemala and Belize. And this is in early 2000. And then obviously 9/11 the following year kicked off, and we have been at war my entire career. So, I was always a huge military history buff. I grew up watching Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, and always had a huge
classics.
Just classics, and looked up to military veterans. So, just America called, and I was there. I flew medevac in Iraq. I did one air assault, by far the scariest thing I have ever done. I am super happy to be alive. I wake up every single day thinking about those men and women that we carried off the battlefield. Carry some body bags. It really changes who you are as a person. And that's why I'm so motivated. When people are like, man, don't you ever sleep? They're like, no, I don't. Because those guys, I carried body bags. Those guys are done forever. Like every single waking moment, I am going to make a difference in this country in one way or another. So that's what really keeps me motivated. My military command tour just ended at Andrews Air Force Base. That was 100 men and women, best warfighting medics in the United States Air Force. I take a ton of pride in that, and now have moved on to emergency management. So I'm flying to DC later today. I'll get a briefing and at Joint Task Force NCR there in Washington, DC tomorrow, and then fly back Friday night here for another ER shift. So it's crazy busy, but I enjoy it, and you feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah, and I mean, props to what you've gone through. Your journey in life is certainly unique and inspirational. I always think, a lot of people don't realize what we do in the emergency room, what we see, some of the horrors we see, and I always kind of catch myself and check myself really to think about the people that are in the military. Because I think the only people that get out there and be like, no, we see a lot worse than what you see in the ER, our first responders and then our military, men and women. So, I can't even imagine being on those medevac choppers. Probably there's got to be some feeling of helplessness as far as, what you can do and obviously what you can't do for certain individuals, especially the ones that you're unfortunately taking away in a body bag. So,
yeah. When that tracer fire starts flying in, there's a helicopter in front of you that loses an engine. There's some anti-aircraft weapons on the ground. This was while they were shooting down helicopters. So it was 2007. They shot down 8 helicopters just before I got there. The day I landed, they shot down one of our helicopters. I was not in it. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is such a bad idea. Oh my goodness. I survived, and here I am.
Wow. Well, that's great. God bless for that and for the people that you were with as well. So, you certainly have a passion for, Gen Z leadership tactics. And I've seen the phrase from your camp that says, leadership and mentorship, not legislation, will change the future. I love that line. tell me more about your passion for this generation.
Yeah. So, the government's not going to save us. Okay. There's the politics, they swing left, they swing right, leadership changes. You can't rely on the government. When you're talking about these types of issues, it's you. Like the person that you're looking at in the mirror is the only one that's going to solve this problem. You have to get involved in your community. Everybody has a different set of skills. So some people are super burned out and they don't want to be around people. Great. Go to your animal shelter. All right. Those animals can be emotional support animals for somebody. For people that do like working with other people, go coach, go do Little League, soccer, volunteer in your church, volunteer in your schools, go to the soup kitchen. I mean, there are so many organizations that need you, and everybody has a different set of skills. So the more people that take ownership of that, I mean, don't rely on the government. Don't rely on anyone else. Like, it has to be you. Get out there.
Yeah, and I think I couldn't agree more. And I do think, unfortunately, I think society has trended in a direction where there is sort of this reliance on others, whether it be government or parental or, some sort of just a overall mentality of, the world owes you something or the world is going to get you to where you need to go. And the reality is, like you said, you're the person behind the wheel of your life, and you need to be the weight behind that spear. So I think it's unfortunate, but I think the message that you're sharing, I think is unique in that regard, because I like that sort of self-accountability. And that's what I, preach my kids. I have 3 kids now, God bless them. And they don't always listen, but they do a good job trying. But to your point, like, I love coaching. I've helped my son with football and baseball and basketball and things like that over the years. So I do think there are just those little things that you can do to make a difference. And so I love the message that you're putting out there.
Thanks. Hey, how about that big Ohio State game?
Yeah, I feel like it was like 2 heavyweight fighters that were just kind of like feeling things out for the first couple of quarters. I think it's unfortunate that it was week 1, because I think if it was like week 3 or 4, I think you would have seen a much different, gloves off, 2 heavyweight guys just punching each other, going at it.
Archie Manning's first game, that was a rough one, Ohio State D. But
yeah.
Need to watch.
But it was fun. I love the team aspect and competitive nature of college football. It's great that it's back. I did want to touch on one of the topics that when we were doing some of the show prep and we were speaking, you mentioned the mental health and obesity crisis that's sort of impacting Gen Z. And this is something that we both see in the emergency departments. I recall I was on a call a few years ago with, and I won't want to name names, but with a very prominent regional children's hospital. And this was like about a year after COVID, when, we were doing the quarantine thing and kids were getting ripped out of schools and isolating and all this other stuff and wearing masks 24 hours a day. And I remember hearing them say that their mental health visits were up in the emergency department over 400%. And I was on this call and I'm like, yeah, we're seeing a ton of it. And we used to go like, I don't know, a month, and we'd see like one 13-year-old that was, came into the ER for like suicidal ideation. It was extremely, I don't want to say rare, but it wasn't that often that we saw it. Now, I mean, we see 2 or 3 a day. I mean, literally. So there is this, crazy. I do think there's like this mental health crisis, and obviously the obesity, like we talked about. What do you see that has happened? Why is it happening? And then how do we get these kids help and this generation sort of back on track?
Yeah, and it strikes really, really close to home. My shift 2 days ago, as soon as I walked out the door, there was a 14-year-old boy that had shot himself with a handgun. My son Luke is 14. I went in the next morning because I relieved that same physician. We do 12-hour shifts and just had a chat. And man, it rips your heart out every time. I've been doing this for 20-some years, and it's still, when you have to talk with those families, I think it's a combination of issues. So it was more of a perfect storm. So you can talk about the policy issues during COVID for sure. I mean, that had a huge impact. But if you go back a little bit further, there used to be helicopter parents, just kind of hovering and trying to take care of everything. I'm not sure when, but they just turned into lawnmower parents. And so they just rode in front of their kid. They mowed down every obstacle in their path. They didn't allow them to make decisions. They didn't allow them to make any mistakes. Everyone got a participation trophy, right? Everybody's a winner. Yay, hooray for you. In those younger ages, I coach soccer. Everybody's out for fun. But in real life, there's winners and losers. Everyone is not a winner. That's not reality. And so if you don't teach them that, and then you mow down everything in their path, they don't know what to do. They encounter a problem, they quit, they don't have resiliency. I saw that in the emergency department over the past 3, 4, 5 years. And as a military commander, all these young recruits coming in 18 to 25 years old. Wow. I mean, it's, back in my day, we used to, those I don't want to be that old timer guy like back in my day type stories, but I'm telling you, these 18 to 25-year-old kids quit like that, like instantly, like one little obstacle. Oh, that's it. I quit. Like, no. You have to overcome that. Like losing is not a bad thing, number one. So we have to get that out of people's heads. Because number one, if you're not pushing yourself hard enough to where you're losing at something, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. All right. You have more in the tank. And then two, losing is not bad. That's how you learn. So as long as you make the changes, you don't make the same mistakes over and over because that's stupidity. But if those mistakes are good, that's how they learn. Be there safely. Don't be the lawnmower parent. Watch them, let them make some little mistakes. I've got 3 kids of my own now. Like I said, my oldest is 14. And yeah, the lawnmower thing was not successful. And then you couple that with COVID, we've got a very anxious, depressed, suicidal generation. And that's what we deal with every day. I saw another one 2 days ago.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. That's tragic. And nothing can prepare you for, those children. And that's the hardest part of what we do, right? Like, we deal with
your own kids.
Yeah. I specifically recall cases in my career where I took care of a child that was like similar in, age, shape, and size to one of my kids. And it definitely hits you harder. Mm-hmm. Being a physician, an emergency medicine physician before I had kids was a hell of a lot easier. And I'm not saying
everything's an adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's that's different for sure. And I do think I like the lawnmower term. I've heard the snowplow parent. I've heard that term because, and it's hard, like, right. Like, I mean, I've got 3 kids, like, I get it. Like, you want to get out in front of them and push the snow away so that there's, this clear path for their lives. But at the end of the day, in the overall big picture, you're really not doing them any favors. They have to learn how to push the snow away themselves. Right. I mean, that's kind of the goal, but it's, as a parent, I have to check myself sometimes. And I'm like, hold on, wait, no, he needs to send that text message. He needs to do that email. He needs to, miss that assignment and then learn that that's what happens. And then you get bad grades and then, whatever. So I do see that side of it. I also see, I'm trying not to get political here at all, but at the same time, when you rip kids out of schools for nearly a year and you put masks over their mouth and isolate them and everybody's got to be 6 feet apart and all this other stuff, like I just don't know that we handle that the best way possible. In hindsight, of course, more closer to 2020.
So many people want to pass blame, but we're not here for blame.
Yeah.
Ownership. Like it happened.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who did it. Now, what are we going to do to fix it? So
and I think it impacted an entire generation.
Yeah. And so that was like, with the book, I talk about, listen, this is the most divided generationally and politically this country has been in my lifetime. I'll be 48 here in days. What can we all agree on? Like our kids, right? Can't we all agree that we want them to be successful, productive human beings, developing leadership skills and not be anxious and depressed? I mean, I think every parent can agree on that, regardless of where you fall on that political spectrum. So let's just focus on that. That's something we can all agree on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the path forward, right? Is to find common ground. And I think, with kids, that should be an easier place for us to all start and agree upon those things. And I think another thing that you talk about that you're also very passionate about, with that, especially with the pediatric obesity, well, just the obesity, epidemic in general, but the pediatric version. I mean, the other day, I think I had a 6-year-old that was like 100 kilograms or something along those lines. And you're like, how is that even possible? Like how, and I think I'm very passionate about it because I've treated a lot of patients for weight loss over the years. I started a physician guided weight loss company many years ago. And I think the first problem is that society doesn't believe obesity is a disease. That's the first problem. It's just calories. You just go eat a salad every day. Yeah, it's not that easy. It's not that simple. Now, there are things and steps that you can take. And I know one of the things that you're passionate about is fitness. Can you touch a little bit about that, especially in regards to like pediatric obesity and activity?
Yeah. When you just break it down to the basics, diet and exercise. So when they looked at reinstituting the presidential fitness program recently, it's more than just instituting a fitness program. It's giving the kids confidence, and everyone was like, well, President Obama had decided to stop that because, you only fit the top 15% were getting the awards for that. What about the other 85%? Well, if you frame it in that we're all in competition with each other, then yeah, 85% of the kids are losing. But it doesn't have to be about competition with other people. It's competition with yourself. Like, are you making those strides? Like last year, I can only do this many push-ups. This year, I can do this many. That's what you celebrate. That's what you focus on. Yeah, I'm still a fan of giving the top 15% the nice little patch. I never got that growing up. I wanted that so bad. And I couldn't do pull-ups. Like, I couldn't get it. But don't have to focus on that as much. Yeah, celebrate that top 15%. But for the other kids, this is a fun challenge. You learn something about yourself. It's your mental health as well, just as much as it is like the physical. And then you have to talk about like the nutrition and the diet and that component. But we have to give these kids the tools now more than ever, because so many of them have just been raised on iPads and iPhones. And then during COVID, just completely locked away. It was absolutely horrific. But, those simple things is how we start. And then we adjust fire from there. But you have to start somewhere. And I think getting that program back is really important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think, we talk about this a lot, the iPad sort of generation. Nutrition is a whole separate conversation. You can do an entire podcast on nutrition right now and, additives into, food and things like that. But I think one of the things that I see right now that is just absolutely mind blowing to me is these electric scooters. Like electric bikes, these e-bikes, e-scooters, the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, what are we doing? And by the way, like take away the, physical fitness, activity of the children, take that part over here. Well, let's talk about the fact that these kids are flying around going 25 miles an hour without shoes, a helmet, or anything on a main road. It was actually, I think it was Pennsylvania last week, where like two, like 14 and 12-year-old kids were like struck, and one was killed, and the other one was like severely disabled or something like that. I don't have the exact story in front of me, but like from a trauma standpoint, it's mind-boggling to me that these things are legal. But overall, bigger picture, like, yeah, when I went to go see my friends when I was 14, I rode my bike like all over the city of Cleveland. I don't even know how I survived, to be quite honest with you. But at least we did have a lot of activity. And I see like all these things now are trending towards just like sitting there and riding these e-bikes with like zero activity. I'm like, it's just mind blowing to me.
It's just like that Disney movie where like a man eventually evolves to where they just never have to physically do anything. And everyone weighs 300, 400 pounds and that big spaceship traveling across because they just destroyed Earth. I can't remember the name of that movie. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the name of
that one. It was with Wall-E. Was it Wall-E? Something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
And it's just taking something as simple as, hey, just riding your bike. Well, they've made it all electronic now. So you just remove that complete physical component. But they pushed so hard for so many years to wear helmets for bikes that just, these motorized scooters are way worse, but somehow they just kind of forget about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think my kids think I'm like, the devil because I make them wear their helmets when they ride their bikes.
Are the worst.
Yeah, for sure. And, my kids have never been on a trampoline, and my kids, when they ride their bikes, they wear helmets. I know I'm that guy, right? Like, get off my lawn. I'm that guy, like the old guy now and my kids probably think I'm crazy. They don't have e-bikes. They don't have e-scooters. I told them if they want to go ride a scooter or ride a bike, they can use their feet. So
yeah, well, so Glaucom Plekken that you had on the show a couple of episodes previously, which was an awesome show, by the way. He had a great TikTok. He had a great TikTok video, I think a year or two ago, just like the different physicians and how they manage their kids with wearing helmets on things. And the emergency physicians are always like super paranoid and no, you can't go on the trampoline. And we see crazy injuries all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the more common causes of pediatric paralysis in the world that a lot of people aren't aware of. It's not for me. And I know people are probably, you got to let your kids live and stuff. I get it. That's fine. They'll, the irony is my son is very active in sports, plays, the big three, basketball, baseball, football. And a few years ago, at the completion of the baseball cycle there, he went to like the post game party, right? And he's on this like bounce house that's like a water bounce house, and he falls off somehow the top third of the slide, lands on his upper extremity, complete deformity of his forearm, both bone fracture, radius ulna. This thing is nasty. And it's just funny because looking back, he healed, he's fine, he's good. But the irony is that he plays sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for years. God bless, never got majorly injured. And then he goes to like the party with the bounce house and he falls off and breaks his arm. So it's going to happen, but I don't know. These e-bikes, getting back to that point is just, it's mind blowing to me that these parents are like, let's buy these, let's throw our kids on them 25 miles an hour down the road without a helmet, no shoes. And what could go wrong? Yeah,
we see them in our neighborhood all the time. I'm just waiting for one of them to fall and break something from my house.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, I see that you're running for the lieutenant governor of North Carolina.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Where are you at in this journey, and how did this come to fruition here for you?
Yeah, well, you just see some of those policy decisions. And, like I said, I wake up every single day trying to figure out how I can make a difference. I just don't take no for an answer, and I can't stand still. And so you saw some of those COVID policy decisions that really damaged a good chunk of our population, our younger generation, which is really our best resource is our kids. And when you see the anxiety and the depression, and then you see these suicides, somebody has to do something. We have to have more principled, purpose-driven leadership. And in North Carolina, the lieutenant governor runs on a separate ticket from the governor. They're not together. And the lieutenant governor also chairs the Department of Education. So, as a physician, a lifelong teacher, I was a professor at Duke University. My wife is a teacher. My mom was a teacher. I really feel strongly that we need someone with that skill set in the lieutenant governor, mansion. Not that it's a mansion here in North Carolina, but we need someone there that has that skill set because we just currently don't. And I don't agree with the decisions that were made. So I'm going to do something about it.
I love it. Yeah. Well, you have my vote. I don't think I get one in North Carolina, but if I could come down and vote, I definitely would.
Spread the love. Spread the love.
And I think we do need, more physician leadership in those positions that are influential because, there's a big chatter right now about whether physicians should be able to own hospitals or help run hospitals, things like that. But it is kind of nonsense, right? Like it is kind of nonsensical that why shouldn't we we're the ones that are on the front lines. Like we know how hospitals work, so I get that discussion and I see it all the time. But, to your point, to your, bigger purpose, sort of branching idea of becoming lieutenant governor, I applaud you for that. I don't know how that fits in with life, military, emergency medicine, et cetera.
I'll probably have to retire from the military with that one, but I've served for 24 years. So that's a good excuse to hang it up.
Yeah, you've certainly put your time in and so earned that, so to speak. So completely off topic, I did see a video recently, some of the content that you put online where you discussed winning the lottery. Oh. and I wanted to talk to you about this because, well, first of all, before we even talk about it, we both won the lottery. I think we can agree on that, right? Like I have beautiful family. I have 3 healthy kids. God bless. They're healthy. They're happy. I have a smoking hot wife, and she could not be great any better than she is right now. I certainly don't deserve her. I do have to check to see if the $2 Powerball ticket I won last night hit because it's $1.4 billion.
Yeah, I bought a ticket as well. I checked this morning. I won $4.
Oh, congratulations on winning the Powerball.
Yeah.
So we definitely won the lottery. We have the lives that we've dreamed of. That being said, I want you to tell me, if you can, like the moment you did win and like what experience, like what went through your head? Like what was the first thing that you went through in your head?
Yeah. So like literally, I've told the story a few times. There was a lottery podcast that I've been on. So it's Wednesday and Gabriel's in gymnastics. So I drive him over to gymnastics. There's a gas station like right in the same parking lot. Drop him off, go fill the car up. And I just see, in the window there, they list the lottery and the Cash 5 lottery. I'm a math and science nerd. You're much more likely as opposed to like the Powerball and Mega Ball where you have to have that Powerball. There's just 5 numbers. So statistically, you do have a better chance. And that was up to, I think, $1.1 million. I was not able to go into the store. They have an online thing. I signed up. I literally signed up that night and bought a ticket. Did not win Thursday night. I just rolled the same numbers forward to Thursday, and Friday morning, it's chaos. I got 3 kids. Like, put on your shoes. Did you make your lunch? Feed the cat. Like, they're running all over the place. Just managing chaos. And I get an email and the phone. I'm just like, whoa. That's kind of weird. It says like we need to. So it says like you won the lottery and you need to log in and give us your social security number. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. All right, sure.
You won the inheritance from Pakistan, right?
Yeah. Total scam. But I mean, the email says it's from North Carolina Educational Lottery. So I went in my computer and I'm sitting right here at my desk and I've logged in and it just like pops up like an obscene amount of money because it had rolled forward. So it was like worth 1.5 million at that time. And I talked to my wife, I was like, Elsa, like, can you come in here, please? And she could tell there's clearly something wrong with my voice. And she's staring at the screen. She's like, well, that's not real, is it? I'm like, I don't know. I think it is. And so I'm filling it out and I fill out just like the paperwork on there. And then an hour later, I get an email. They're like, hey, come on into Raleigh, pick up your check. I'm like, really? Well, this is wild. And then you understand I'm in the middle of a congressional campaign. So to my knowledge, I'm the only active congressional candidate who's ever won the lottery. So it got national news. It was the UK and international. Like it was like one of the top feeds on Apple News, yada, yada. So I go into the lottery winner site in Raleigh and there's like bulletproof glass and all kinds of signs and everything up. And I walk up and I'm like, hey, I think I won the lottery. They're like, fill out this form. I fill out the form. I hand it to her and she's like, turns around, picks up like a little red bat phone. The online winner is here. I'm like, whoa, this is real?
This is like really happening.
I go, whoa. So they badge you through one door and then they badge you through another door. And you're sitting in the lottery winner room and there's like the wall painted for like all the pictures and, just North Carolina Educational Lottery. And it was bizarre because I sit down and it's just me and the person that walked me back there. And they're just like, okay, well, I'm going to take off and this phone is going to ring in about 5 or 10 minutes. I'm like, what? Because I'm just sitting there by myself in this room with a phone in front of me. So I'm playing.
Am I getting punked? Yeah. Are you getting punked right now? Like, is there a camera?
It's really bizarre. Because I'm texting my campaign manager like, dude, I think I won the lottery. Do we? And because I'm asking, like, well, number one, do we want to say anything about it? In North Carolina, they do announce it. So I was like, well, it's already out of the bag. But hey, I was thinking about just keeping it private. If they don't announce it, then.
For sure.
And then the phone rings and they ask you all the questions like, do you own a gas station? Do you own anyone that owns a lottery machine? Does your family work for the lottery? Does your family own a gas station? I'm like, nope. Just trying to make sure there's no way you could have. I have no idea how you would do that online anyways, but
yeah, McMillions.
Make sure you're not a cheater.
That McMillions documentary talked about that for the McDonald's thing, how it was fixed. That's funny. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So then they walk in with a big cartoon check. I've got it over here. Maybe I show it to you. So there's the big cartoon check and they take the pictures and, talk to my wife on the phone. Like, Elsa, it's real. Like I'm holding the check and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And I'm like, and I told the kids before we left that morning, do not tell anybody. Because if this is like some scam, I'm looking like a total idiot. Like do not say anything, but it actually would be great.
Real, so.
Oh my gosh. What a cool story. So do they let you walk out with the check?
Yeah. So there's the big cartoon check for the pictures. And then there's the paper check, like for, I've seen.
Now is it made out to your name then?
Yeah.
You just like go to the bank and cash it?
Take those taxes out right away.
Wow,
so you just took like $500,000 in taxes, like right there. I can't remember what the exact total was. And then I'm just walking around with this huge check. I'm just like, well, I'm going directly to the bank because what happens if this gets lost or gets, oh my gosh, I just drove to the bank and deposited it. And the teller's just like, I'm like, yeah, I'm just a dude. I'm in here all the time and I won the lottery. Like, oh, that's amazing. I've never met a lottery winner before. And then all the media and the interviews and, in Europe, like the UK and people calling from all over the place, like Arkansas, some people I served with, like, dude, did you win the lottery? Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. But so it's really good karma coming back, because long story short, the years before that, I had a business venture with actually some old residency classmates that had a CEO that was just not a nice individual. He's going to be in jail eventually. But long story short, he was embezzling money. I called him out. He didn't like that. Offered me a $3.4 million bribe. I told him to shove it up his rear end, because you can't bribe me. I'm a colonel in the United States military. And he punished me for it. So he tried to bankrupt the company. We filed a lawsuit to prevent him from bankrupting it. But COVID hit. We couldn't get a court date. And then he actually made some threats. I got the FBI involved. They decided not to press charges because he hadn't actually physically done anything yet, yada, yada. And I actually moved the family to Australia for a year in Adelaide until that blew over, and then moved back here to North Carolina. So yeah, it's kind of wild. But when you see that whole history, it's like I think it was God, honestly, just kind of testing you. How far can he push you? Will you actually stick to your guns? And that integrity kind of held out. So 4 years later down the road, like, hey man, I know I put you through. I lost $5 million. So
oh my gosh,
I think that was God. Just, hey, I was just testing you out, and you passed the test. So here's a good karma coming your way.
Well, what a fantastic story, and a great ending. Everybody's journey is truly unique in their own right.
Yeah. Life happens, and you just learn, number one, you can't control other people. There are mean, nasty, evil people out there, and you can't control it. But you can control how you respond. That's all you can control is yourself. And I was not going to change who I was. I've seen money change a lot of people. It doesn't change me in the slightest. So I still keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, it's great to see that integrity. Again, that's something I think that we desperately need, in Washington, representing, the people. I think on both sides of the aisle, there's been a lot of, concerns about that integrity. Did this backfire at all on you? I know, there's a lot of, politicians that get, put into situations where their, salary's $170,000 a year and they're worth, $150 million. And you're like, okay, come on, something.
Yeah, so it was the primary. So it gave us tons of earned media. So it was fantastic because I'm basically a nobody. I'm just a guy. I'm a combat veteran, emergency physician, proud Duke professor with a wife and 3 kids that literally wakes up every day and I care. And but nobody knew who I was. So now they know. And it was if you follow politics at all, it was a swing district. It was me versus just the other incumbent. And then they redistricted and it became an R+17 district. So I, at the time, was the only Republican candidate. Then it blew up to 14 other people jumping into the race. One candidate spent $12 million. Had a rich father. Wow. And basically, and then a couple other candidates spent like $3-4 million. So knocked me out of the runoff. I had a great team. I learned a ton. I really felt we probably had the best platform in candidacy. But when you have $12 million, you can actually do anything you want. And so they just missed winning it outright by getting over 30%. They got like 28%. So it went to a runoff. And then that person that spent $12 million just wasn't a good candidate. So they just quit.
Oh my gosh!
So they knocked me out of the runoff, and then they just quit.
Oh my gosh!
Which is why I'm getting involved very early now in this lieutenant governor race. I'm a genuine guy who really cares, and people know that, and now they know who I am, and so I've got to put the work in. I don't have $12 million to blow on that. I mean, I would never spend lottery winnings on that anyways. I mean, I got a wife and 3 kids, and paid money down on the house and took care of my family. But it really put us in that public sphere. I was able to start the foundation, the Weight Behind the Spear Foundation, contributed money in Western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. And we've done great things with that. And I think, God's got to put us in a good place to be successful.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. And when's the election take place?
Yeah. So it's 2028. And we have a long runway, but like I said, I just don't have $12 million to blow on ads. I have to actually campaign and be a qualified candidate. If people want to learn more, they can go to StrongerNC.com. We're stronger together, and this is a team sport, so I need everybody.
Yeah, and we'll put any of those links that you shared with me, definitely in the show, and support you any way we can, and put out some clips on social media as well. So I think that'll be well received by both of our audiences, especially there's probably a lot of crossover between the two.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, I always try to sort of end up the show on some positive notes. So I appreciate you sharing that story with us. And then I always, just for fun, just for some brevity here, what kind of couple questions that are rapid fire for fun. What's your favorite food?
Ooh, as an easy one, my wife's black beans and rice. It is fantastic, great comfort food. It's so good. There's a chapter in my book devoted to it.
I look forward to reading that. Yeah. My wife can cook, and that has been one of the biggest blessings in my life. She's amazing. So I don't know how they do it, but God bless them. My daughter asked me this yesterday, so I threw this curveball at you here this morning. If you could talk to one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Boy, yeah, that's a really good question. I was really racking my brain. And, I would love to talk with Lee Harvey Oswald. I want to know the real story. Was he the only shooter? You know, I mean, just like I sit down with them, like, hey, listen, man, you're going to walk out of here. Jack Ruby's going to shoot you. Like, this is your only chance to clear your name for history. Like, tell me what really happened. Like, I'd love to chat with him.
That's a great one. I didn't see that coming, but I like
Crazy,
that. Huh? We're standing in Chipotle yesterday, and I'm like, my daughter asks me this, and I'm like, this is like a really profound question. I'm like, I don't know that standing in Chipotle, placing an order with my phone is like the right, arena for me to be able to give this question the answer that it deserves.
Love some of those kid questions. They're just like so honest and pure, and they just really want to know. I mean, they have the best questions.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite vacation spot?
Vacation spot. So my wife's parents have a place down at the Keys, down at Duck Key. It is, I grew up in rural Nebraska, right? So for me, it just blows my mind. You literally walk out the backyard. There's a pool, there's a dock. You can jump in the ocean and just like grab a lobster. It's incredible. So yeah, the Florida Keys.
Florida Keys. Very good. What's the last show that you binge watched?
So we're watching now Wednesday on Netflix. I believe it's on Netflix, right? So yeah, last night I had a radio hit on America at Night with Rich Valdez on Westwood One. So he has a 9 to midnight show. I was on at 9:15 and finished the show. They all went into the spare bedroom to be nice and quiet for the radio interview. And I just opened the door, and like the whole family, 3 kids, the 2 cats, snuggled up watching the show. And I jumped in. I'm like, oh, this is heaven right here. Number one, because the Luca's 14, the twins are 13 here in about 2 weeks. So you get 3 teenagers to like cuddle up on a couch and watch a show together. It's got to be good. So yeah, Wednesday.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's hard to find something for, that makes all of the kids happy, right? Yeah. Like that's our biggest struggle, especially with our 8. We have 14, 13, and then 6. So it's like this wide array of
stretch.
So we're watching all like 10 seasons of Friends or however many seasons are.
One of the classics.
Just so many like life lessons in there that we're just like, okay, let's pause because that was really awkward. Let's talk about that topic, and and so it's funny, but
that's good.
But yeah, no, it's good. And then you're in North Carolina, right? So have you been following, Bill Belichick? What are your thoughts on him over there?
Oh my gosh. So, that one, I've talked about it in a few speaking engagements as well, because, his if you follow Bill Belichick, like his motto was like, do your job, right? Do your job. And, did you watch the Tom Brady roast that they did last year?
Yeah.
Wow. And so when he got up there and he basically told Gronk, like, I see you on TV all the time. You're doing all these commercials. You're doing all this USAA. For the first time, I'm telling you, stop doing your job. And all the Patriots, like Edelman, they just all absolutely lost it, because their whole career, he's just railing on him, do your job, do your job. And for the first time, he tells them, stop doing your job. So, yeah, that's a fascinating story. The guy's 73. He's got a 24-year-old girlfriend. Yeah, so I watched that. It was on pretty late. It started like 8 or 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. So I only watched like the first half. It was not much of a game. I got absolutely destroyed by TCU, but it's fascinating. It's like 20 minutes from my house. So I'll probably try to get to a game. If they keep playing like that, I'm gonna get some tickets real easy.
Right.
So I'll take the kids. I'm a Nebraska Cornhusker. I grew up in Nebraska, but it's fascinating watching him at the collegiate level. It seems pretty bizarre.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's trying to prove, or unless this is just like his swan song, like I don't know. But
it's wild.
To each his own. Everybody's got their own path, right?
Yep.
And then the last thing I wanted to ask you is, what's one thing that people don't know about you that you want to share?
Well, a lot of people don't know that until very recently, I hate public speaking. I literally would get anxious and palpitations. I guess maybe it was even maybe before Iraq. So I had done some speech classes and some things in college. I did not do public speaking. So I ran a congressional race where you're speaking 24/7 all the time, all throughout the state. And it just beat it right out of me. I can go on camera, talk about anything, anytime. I was on Newsmax this morning, did a segment, and I can just get up and talk. Now, I think number one, being very passionate and really believe in what I'm doing, helps. I think being in combat, being shot at, and watching people give up their lives for this country, what am I worried about? Getting on TV? Come on now. That congressional race beat it right out of me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's, face your fears head on, right? I mean, that's impressive. I never knew that, because you come across on your interviews and everything, and I've seen you on TV and things, very genuine, and I think that resonates with people. So whatever you're doing seems to be working.
I appreciate that.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can learn more at weightbehindthespear.com, WEIGHT, weightbehindthespear.com. And then on Instagram, it's Josh McConkey, MD. And on X, it's McConkey 007.
007, love it.
007.
Well, so we appreciate you for joining us today on the show. I cannot thank you enough, and certainly wish you nothing but the best on your journey, your continued journey with that long runway up till 2028, and that that big challenge that you have in front of you. But certainly we hope that you're successful in that. And again, I appreciate it, and thank you for joining the show. All of our subscribers will hopefully follow you and find you on social media, and of course you can always follow Dr. J. Parente on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, just about anywhere. So I do appreciate it. And I like to end all of our shows with a saying that you might be familiar with, because you worked with Dr. DeJulius. I hope I'm allowed to say his name. But peace, love, and happiness to everybody out there. Cheers, guys.
Thanks for joining us this week on Emergency Minute. Join us next time for more hard-hitting discussions on some of today's issues in healthcare. Don't forget to leave us a review on Spotify or follow on social media at Dr. J. Parente.